Well, let's talk to Dr. Jonathan Spangler, a historian at Manchester Metropolitan University who specialises in European monarchies. Jonathan, as a historian, why is this coronation so significant?
Well, I think it's really interesting to think about what is the meaning of monarchy, a hereditary system of government that's been around for thousands of years in most human societies, and what does it mean for a 21st century society? And so it is a pretty divisive issue, but I think it's also an interesting day that a lot of people can come together and remember what Britain's history is about, the colour, the splendour, the music, the pageantry. So I think there's a lot to look out for tomorrow.
These are such rare events. Our parents' generation will remember the last one. This will be a significantly different event, won't it?
Yes, certainly. I think many things that people talked about in the last few months after the passing of Elizabeth II was how much her reign represented really almost the final chapter of the old world, the old way of doing things. And many people were ready for a turn of the page now and a new coronation or a new monarchy. And so people are looking quite closely at how this coronation will be different tomorrow, and whether it will in fact be a much more modern affair, or will it still be in some ways somewhat out of touch with a lot of British people today.
I wonder how tomorrow's events will reflect the way the new king wants to change the monarchy.
Well, there's certainly been, I think, a lot of change already that we have seen over the last 10 years even, of the slimming down of the monarchy, much more practical movements towards making it an economically viable institution. But at the same time, Charles III has been really, really keen to show that he is still devoted to the main core base of the support of monarchy, which is often people who are very closely attached to the Church of England and Christian people in the United Kingdom. So on the one hand, it really has to appeal to that core group, but on the other hand, they've been very careful, and I think rightly so, in appealing to the much broader demographic that now represents British people. So there will be elements of the coronation tomorrow that represent other faiths, or maybe that speak to people of no faith at all, and I think that's definitely a move forward.
Elizabeth II was, of course, crowned on her own. Tomorrow, Camilla will also be crowned Queen Consort. I mean, how do you see that role developing?
Yes, well, of course, they're very different crowns. I mean, Elizabeth II was crowned as a regnant queen on her own, and Camilla is a consort. Which in itself is a fascinating historical subject for someone like myself, a historian, to look at how does the consort play a role. And in the Middle Ages or the early modern period, the consort was a really important face of the monarchy, because it was usually her role to be the more human face. In medieval or early modern monarchies, the male represented valor, honor, chivalry, usually the fighting side, whereas the consort represented piety, religion, charity, often appealing to a husband to be clement or favorable to subjects. So how that then got transformed in the 20th century is still playing out a little bit, and obviously the monarch doesn't have as much power as they did in the Middle Ages, but I think there is still a key role for the consort to play, and I think that Camilla will be looking not so much at Elizabeth II for a role model, but really at Elizabeth's mother, Queen Elizabeth, who was the Queen Mother up until 2002, as to how to play that role of a bit more soft, a bit more feminine, if you will, side of monarchy.
Jonathan, good to see you. Thanks very much for coming on the programme. Dr. Jonathan Spangler, historian at Manchester Metropolitan University.